Hello, my wonderful psych students. I hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're staying safe and healthy and keeping yourselves occupied. Um, I have very much missed seeing you guys. Thank you very much to everybody who's filled out any of the surveys I put up about giving me feedback about the course. Thank you to those of you who have stopped by during Zoom sessions. I really appreciate having the chance to interact with you guys again. And if I haven't gotten a chance to talk to you yet, I definitely still want to. So please stop by a Zoom session at some point. Feel free to email me, set up a meeting. I just want to take a little bit of time to go through some pieces of advice that I have for the AP exam that is coming up in just 3 weeks. Woohoo! Yay! Get excited for it. So let me just go through a couple of the things that I personally would take a look at if I were the one taking the AP exam. So the first thing that I really, really strongly want to emphasize is do not rely on your notes. Please, please, please do not rely on your notes. So by this point, if you aren't aware, you have 2 FRQs. The first one is 25 minutes, which is the regular time you usually have that we've been doing in class, but you have 8 terms to identify, whereas it's typically 7. This year they made it 8. For your second FRQ, that's all about research methods, you will have 6 different terms that you need to identify and apply. So that one you only have 15 minutes for. So yes, it is an open note test. However, you so will not have time to flip through your notes if you don't know anything at all. So you really, really, really need to make sure that you are keeping up with watching the AP College Board videos. I have been watching them too, and I think that they are incredibly helpful. But I think that you absolutely need to make sure you're keeping up with them along with looking at your old notes. If you choose to do the capture sheets, find some way to make sure you know this information without your notes. That being said, on to the second point here, just in case for some reason you're just having a little moment when the test starts that you're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot for the life of me remember what the retina does. You want to make sure that your notes are organized in a way that if you need to take 20 seconds to flip to that part in your notes so that you can define it real quick and then move from there, make sure you are prepared to do that in case that happens. So again, don't rely on your notes, but be prepared in case something might happen. So if it were me taking the exam, I would go back through my old class notes and any other notes you might have, and I would organize them by units. And I would literally take like a little sticky note tab or something and put it at the top and say, here's unit 1, or you could say like research methods or something like that, learning, unit 4, something like that. That way, when you're doing the terms on the exam, you can look at it and say, I know exactly where I need to flip to in my notes to find this definition super quickly, and then keep writing, because you're not going to have time to really freeze. So make sure you have a backup plan and a backup plan for your backup plan. Really make sure that you're prepared for this, please. The next biggest piece of advice I have for you right now is make sure you are practicing timing yourself. So when we are starting to give you FRQs to practice each week, or the sample FRQs that are being provided in the College Board videos, you should practice timing yourself. So maybe start first by doing the FRQ and seeing how long it takes you. So just do it without thinking about time and see how long that is. And then see if you're able to, if you're above or if you're below that 25-minute mark and everything. You want to make sure that for a typical FRQ, you can get it done within 25 minutes. Like I said, the second one with research methods is only 15 minutes. But definitely get in the habit of timing yourself so that you know what 25 minutes feels like. It is what we've been doing pretty much the entire year. Almost every time I've given you an FRQ, I've given you 25 minutes. So you should hopefully be in that habit of 25 minutes, but just make sure you're pacing yourself well and you know what that feels like now, rather than by the time the exam is actually happening. The next thing that is huge for this year in particular is you will have the option to either hand write out your entire FRQ and then take a picture of it and upload to the website, or to just type it out. I personally know that growing up, my parents had me do all these videos to learn to type well and everything, so I can personally type way faster than I can handwrite something. For some of you, it's completely the opposite. You might not be as comfortable with computers and typing quickly, and instead you would much rather handwrite. Practice that and get a sense of what that feels like. So when you are going through your practice FRQs and you're timing yourself, also get a sense of, would I rather handwrite this or would I rather type it? Because you definitely don't want to get there in the moment and then start freaking out of, oh my gosh, I don't know which way is faster for me. So plan that out now. A lot of the other things I have to say about your FRQs for your AP exam are similar to what I've been saying all year long. One big thing is to underline your terms. Underlining your terms does not count for you or against you. It is not something that is scored, but I highly recommend underlining your terms so that you and the reader can clearly identify this is the term that you're doing. So if it's asking you to do something with correlation, if that's what the term is, when you start writing about it, you underline the word correlation. So related to that, the next point I have is that it's best to answer the bullet points in order. You don't technically have to, and if you're watching the College Board videos and using their SOTAs technique, O is for order, and that's one thing they strongly recommend. Technically, to score, you don't have to do it in order, but the thing is, if you choose not to do it in order, the reader has to be able to know which bullet point you are answering at which time. So if you choose not to do it in order, you run the risk of them not being able to identify, well, which term were they talking about? You should never get that close anyways that they can't figure out what you're talking about. You want to be as clear as possible, but I also just recommend underlining terms so they can easily see. I recommend going in order too. Even if you are like stuck on the third bullet point, you can't remember what it is, I would at least get it written down, just the term, and then skip it and keep going. That way you do keep the order, but you're also not stopping your train of thought, and you can keep going with everything that you do know and then go back to it. Again, as we've said all year long, if you want to, you technically can put a bullet point in front of it, but you still have to write in full sentences. You cannot just write short little thoughts. It has to be a full sentence, but I definitely recommend not writing in like a full out paragraph form, because this is not like any other writing you do in any class. No introductions, no conclusion, no fluff, nothing like that. I think it's best to just get straight to the point and be like, bullet point, sentence, boom, next term, bullet point, sentence. And if you leave a little space between each of them, that's helpful too, just so that the reader can space them out. So again, it's not a typical paragraph, but you do still have to write in full sentences. Last couple of things, sorry about that. So as I keep saying, make sure at the end of the day that there is absolutely no doubt in the reader's mind that you know what you're talking about. So you don't really want to just brain dump and put anything that you could possibly think of about a term, but at the same time, if you're like, should I include this thing or should I not? Probably include it, because you really truly just want to make sure that this person knows you know what you're talking about. So be as absolutely positively clear as possible. And maybe it's even helpful for you to ask some family members or friends, people who don't know psych at all. It might be helpful for them to read your practice FRQs as well, because if they don't know anything about psychology and if they can't understand what you're writing, then that's not good. You might want to pretend like the person who's reading it has no idea what psychology is, and then explain it in a way that's so clear that you truly know what you're talking about. A next thing is that if one of the terms has something to do with a body part, like say it talks about the retina, it's recommended that you do identify what part of the body that it is talking about as you're applying. So for example, you might want to start by saying the retina is a part in the eye that processes blah, 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 rather than just saying the retina does this. So that's the same thing. If it's a part in the brain, you should say is a part in the brain, like the hippocampus is a part in the brain where, or specifically mention the lobe, something like that. The more precise you can be with location, the better, because that just emphasizes yet again that you know exactly what you're talking about. From what I've heard, in some years they score based on did you say what part of the body's in, and some years they don't. So I cannot tell you what they're going to decide to do this year, but I recommend making sure you know what part of the body it's in and identifying that. Lastly, I have said this before too, but I just want to emphasize it again. When you are writing your bullet points, misinformation is technically okay. Meaning, if you write something in your response that's technically a little wrong, but it does not directly contradict some piece of the answer that they are looking for, then you're okay. So I know that's confusing, but an example here is if you say, the retina is located in the eye, which is true so far, it has rods and cones, that's still true, and then say, and was founded by Freud, that last part, was founded by Freud, is wrong. But if the prompt is saying something of asking you to talk about how the eye processes visual stimuli and everything, the fact that you mentioned it was founded by Freud is incorrect. That is wrong information, but that doesn't necessarily go against you truly understanding these parts of the eye, that the retina is in the eye and it talks about rods and cones. So they can tell that you still get that part, you just got a little bit of something else wrong. If it's the main thing, if it's something where you say rods process color in the eye, which is clearly wrong, you would not get that point. So there's a certain limit that you can be wrong, but only if it's not directly contradictory to what the correct answer is. Because remember, cones process color and rods process black, white, grayscale, that kind of thing. All right, so I know that this was very long-winded. I'm sorry that I talked a lot, but I just wanted to have a chance to get back in front of you a little bit again. I truly miss teaching you guys, I really do. But these are some different things that I have been thinking about and kind of mentally compiling that I wanted to give as pieces of advice for you with your FRQs. If you have other questions, do not hesitate to email me. I'm more than happy to set up a time to have a Zoom meeting with you, whether it be privately or during our office hours. So you let me know. I am still here to help you. I am doing stuff in the background to try to figure out other ways to help you prepare, and I'll be slowly rolling that out as I have it ready and everything. But hang in there. I know you have a lot of classes to worry about. I know you have other life things to worry about. You are going to be okay. You are going to do this. Just do your best and you will be good. If you just need a pep talk sometimes, again, feel free to email me and we can set up a Zoom and I'll be your cheerleader, all right? So good luck to all of you. Let me know if you need anything from me, and please, please, please stay motivated, work hard. You can do this. I have faith in all of you guys. All right, I will talk to you later.